I do want to make a note on the project. So if you can pause for a minute. For the encapsulating department, please be aware that the materials are not uniform. Since materials are added at the beginning of the process. So, in other words, watch that percentage for the ending whip. The percentage for the ending whip. It's not uniform. So that 40%, I think it's 40% that they give you, is not the percentage for the material. It is something other than that. So work on that. If you have a question on that, be careful, because that is one thing that has caused some questions. Okay, that's just on the encapsulating. The mixing, that is uniform. Mixing is uniform. The inputs are all uniform. I'm hoping that everybody has made some contact with their partner. If not, please do so today. Everything is due for homework-wise this Wednesday. I'm looking April 3rd. Again, midnight is the due date for the Excel. Please submit one workbook per group. And then also, please, guys, don't forget to evaluate your partner. There's a second item for 3 points. Please evaluate yourself. There are 2 worksheets there, one for yourself, one for your partner. So make sure you complete that and upload that Excel workbook as well once you're done with that. The Excel workbook is located in Blackboard for your peer evaluation. It's located somewhere around here, down on the bottom. For whatever reason, I can't get it moved. It's this group peer review form. So just download it, make your additions, and then submit it right through Blackboard. Any other questions? All right. The problem I want to start with, I do want to mention one more thing. On the exam, there are some multiple choice questions regarding the 2 methods that we'll be dealing with, weighted average and FIFO. Know the advantages and disadvantages of each, please. One paragraph is located on page 292. And the other paragraph regarding FIFO is on page 298. So please know those 2 areas, or keep a note on those 2 areas. Just kind of an FYI. Also, there is a nice checkpoint review. I think they're pretty good questions. On page 292, there are 3 questions. Please review those as well when you get a chance. It just gives you a little more practice as to the type of question you might see on the exam. All right, our first problem then is problem 60. What I'm planning to do again is run through a weighted average, FIFO, weighted average, FIFO. So we'll do basically four problems today. And once we get through those 4, that will be it for today's class. And then the rest of the time can be spent on homework. So if you are following along, please turn to page 324. The exercise or problem is 60. The information, again, I'm not sure why they do this, is that on page 323. There is a sentence on page 323 in the paragraph regarding the flow of direct materials. What does the problem say? Is the materials uniformly added in the process, or is it non-uniform? Uniform, right? So therefore, we can use the percent complete given. So use the percent complete. For our percent, our equivalent units. So let's take a look at how that works. Let's start with our units. In beginning WIP, how many did we have? $40,000, right? Thank you. Excellent. What other numbers do they give us?
Units completed and transferred out.
Okay, where does that go, Teresa?
Units accounted for or completed?
Just the completed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 120?
Yes. And then ending with units in process August 31st, 40,000.
40,000 again? This is just coincidence that this 40 and this 40 match, right? There is no other correlation there. So in total, I should need to account for 160. Which also means I need 160 up here. So 120 started. Very good. And there'll be problems just with that on the test with just the physical flow section, they call it, right?
Yes.
The units to account for. This is what we need to do in step 1. This is our first step here for our 5-step process. We're using the weighted average method. So like we talked, constantly know before you start the problem what method you're doing, weighted average or FIFO. So I'm looking at step 2 now. We now look at equivalent units. What is the percent always on completed units?
100%.
100%. 100% times what?
Does complete it.
Completed, the 120. So this means that I'll have 120 then equivalent units. Ending WIP, what percent? 60.
60.
Which means equivalent unit-wise, what do I have for units?
24,000.
24,000. Austin, Catherine, you're okay? Okay, thank you. So in equivalent unit terms, we're at 144. And that's it. That's it. That's all we need, equivalent units. So some of your questions will stop here. Compute the equivalent units under the weighted average. Compute the equivalent units using the FIFO method. Now we get to step 3. What changes here?
For dollar.
Now we look at dollars, right? So be careful with your Excel worksheets, the ones that you're working on. I shouldn't see any dollar signs until I hit step 3, right? The lower half of the report. They gave us our beginning WIP at how much in dollars? 144. Yep, very good. Current dollars is
604.
604, 800. Now remember, that's the sum of materials, the sum of conversion, right? That's our current cost. Total is 748, 800. And then I have both my top number and bottom number. My top being the cost, my bottom being what? What am I dividing here by?
Yeah.
The EF units, which is how many? Yep. Which gives me what?
520.
520?
cents.
Does it come out exactly?
Yes.
So I should not have any rounding difference.
No.
Now on your Excel project for mixing, make sure you round this formula to 2 places, right? So I want to see that round command in your Excel formula. And when we're going to the encapsulating in this area and this cost per equivalent unit area, I want to see that round command to 4 places. It's per capsule, so we're increasing the number of decimals. Otherwise, obviously, you wouldn't see it. So that cell should contain that round command to 4 places. Okay, so then we get to our last section, step 4 here. We're going to use these cost per equivalent unit numbers. In dollars. What do I multiply that 520 by? Which one?
The 120,000.
120. E, what did you get then?
6,000. Well, 624,000. Even.
Now in Excel, some of those could be auto sum, right? Some could be cell reference. Try not to enter numbers. Try to cell reference whenever you can. And then the ending units, really straightforward dollars again. We're going to use our cost per equivalent unit of 520 times what number? Pardon, DePolly?
24,000.
24,000. Very good. Do you have a cost on that, DePolly?
$124,800.
Excellent. Step 5 is the reconciliation, right? And that looks like it came out perfectly because our rounding came out perfectly. So there is no difference between what we started with and then the split. So on the test, if I asked you, what is the cost transferred out to the next department? What number would you give me? 624, right? 624,000. What is the journal entry then? If it's going to another department,
Whatever department it's going to.
would be debited,
And this department would be credited.
and then this one is credited. Don't get them backwards, okay? If it were the last department, what would I debit instead of the next department?
Finished good inventory.
Finished goods inventory, correct? We don't go beyond that in this chapter. Finished goods is where it ends. Okay? If I ask for the cost per equivalent unit, what number would you give me?
$5.20.
520. If I ask for what was the cost that remains in ending with
$124,800.
the 124.8. So make sure, be careful again, look at that question, make sure you're answering it correctly for the right item on the report. I've had a lot of students get the report correct, not answer the question correctly. All right, let's try a FIFO one. Problem 63. Next page. The headings are already there, so that's kind of nice. A little more spread out. It's a FIFO problem. What does it say about materials? Uniform or non-uniform? Uniform. So whatever percentage is there for the material and or the labor and overhead, we can use that same percentage for materials. So beginning units. Yes, 4. And actually I can put that in twice. This is FIFO now. And I'm going to draw a line here after that because the sum of these two, the started and completed and those units from beginning inventory, equal the completed units. Sometimes the author calls this transferred out units. Completed and transferred out units. The sum of the started and completed and beginning units equals completed and transferred out. So what is that number?
70,000.
Yes. Okay. So this is why FIFO is a little trickier. So what must be my started and completed total? Ruby?
46,000. 46,000.
4-6. Excellent. So we had to back into that number. The reason we need to do that is that our equivalent units is based off that 46,000 under FIFO, not the 70. Okay. What other number did they give us then? Letter C, they gave us what?
10,000 partially completed.
Yes.
Process.
10,000 ending units. The sum of 70 and 10 is 80 to account for. Which is also used here. So how many units did we start? 66,000. Right?
56.
56,000. That's right, that would add up to 80. There you go. 56,000. So remember, if I ask on the test, there is a difference between started and completed units and started units. There is a difference, right?
Mhm.
Of the 56,000 that I started, I completed 46, and I ended with 10. I didn't finish those 10,000. So out of the 56, I completed 46 and ended up with 10. Look at that checkpoint that I mentioned earlier on page 292. It talks about how to compute some of those numbers. So watch the wording again on the test. Test is a week from today, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to add my percent column here. Started and completed is always what percent? 100. What percent do I need to finish my ending units?
%30.
Careful. Beginning units.
Oh,
Oh.
thought you asked for
Yeah,
any.
you asked for it.
Did I ask for ending?
Started before you.
Yeah. Asked
Let's,
it's
let's,
40.
since I asked the ending, what is the ending?
30.
30.
Careful,
70.
right?
I thought we didn't have.
Yeah, I thought we did the
Only
first
on,
thing.
On beginning, we do have.
only on beginning we do the
Oh,
complement.
yeah.
So what is the percentage, now that I totally confused you for beginning? 40. That's the complement area. Remember, and use the words to help you to complete those units. Remember, we're doing a FIFO flow, first in, first out. They're done first. What do we use to finish them? How much effort? 40 in this case. If you're going to struggle, this is where it's going to happen. Because I see students try to do this on the weighted average method. Do we ever do this on the weighted average method?
No.
No. Only on the FIFO one.
The way we can remember is complete complement.
Correct. There you go, Teresa. Very good. Complete complement.
CC.
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 All right. Good. Let's get our numbers in. So we have 100% of which number?
40,000.
What is another error possibility here? Students grab which other number?
56. Being a starter.
Not the
70,000.
The 70.
Oh, 70.
When do we do the 70? Which method?
Weighted.
Weighted average. So That'll be your task on Monday, is to distinguish when to pick the right one. 40 is on the beginning, so 40% of 24 is how much? Is it 9,600?
Yep.
And 70% of 10, that's 7,000. So equivalent unit-wise, we've got a total of 62,600?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. It is Monday morning, it's hard to add so early, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now we get to step 3, where our cost information is. Now, I've added this up already to save time. So materials, labor, applied overhead, the beginning cost is $285. $520. So what I've done here is just added the 186,000, the 64,000, and the 34,000. Basically those first three numbers. The current cost added during the period totals up to 630. Oops. $638,480. 638,480. And we total that up to be, try it again, I was successful the last time. $914,000.
And 24.
924. Should have let you guys do it. 924. That look better? Okay. So what do I divide by now? Yes. 62.6 is my bottom number. What's my top number though? Not the 924. This is FIFO method. Just the, which one, Jane?
The 638.
Yeah, Michelle, 638. Why did I do that? FIFO method, we can't mix current cost with beginning cost, right? So this template kind of leads you astray a little bit. Only grab the current cost here under the FIFO method. So what did we end up then? 10 something?
No, 26.
1020? And on the Cengage exam, this 1020 will be the weighted average cost per unit as a second answer. So again, it's very easy for a student to grab the wrong answer here under this FIFO method. Okay. Now we finish up step 4. Let's see, started and completed were 46,000, right? Times 1020 equals a big number, huh? I got 469,200. From a prior period, what do they mean? That's the 285, 520. Very good, Polly. 285, 520. And then to finish our beginning units, how much effort did we need? From the current period, how much effort? No, just on the beginning units. Yes, very good. 9,600. Does everybody see where I'm getting that number? This is what I needed to finish them, to complete those units. So when you're in this step 4 area, it's always step 2 number times step 3 number, if that helps. Step 2 times step 3 in this area here. So 9,600 times 1020 is 97,920. And then they have a total cost transferred out. $852,000. I'm going to put this in red, this subtotal. 852,640. 852,640. And then how do I get my ending cost? What do I multiply? The 7,000 step 2 amount times the step 3 amount of 1020. And that gives us something. Ruby?
71,400.
440?
400.
400. Off $40 due to rounding. So that 1020 must not have been perfect.
No,
Okay, another test question. What is the cost transferred out to the next department? What amount?
852,640.
Yes. What could be what could be another Cengage answer? What other number would be sitting there? That's 852, 840 is letter A's answer. What could be letter B's answer?
What's the ending with?
They could have the 71.4. They also could have the 469.2. Do you see how easy that is to make it trickier? So, again, be careful with those questions. That's another example of students getting the worksheet right, but not answering it correctly. For your Excel project, guys, remember that these formulas here have to have the round command in it. This is on your Excel project to 0 places. And I'm just following the formatting rules for Cengage's answers. So what you're doing in your Excel is what the Cengage is looking for. So where this formula 46 times 1020, make sure there's a round to 0 places in it. Same thing on all your ending inventory numbers. Make sure there's a round to 0 places. Also be aware, I want cell reference numbers. I don't want to see numbers. I don't want to see 46 times 1020. I want to see C20 times D11 or whatever it is in the formula. No numbers if at all possible. Multiple inputs, non-uniform inputs. This basically runs from page 293 to the appendix. There also is a discussion on uniform versus non-uniform in this section, which is discussed here. Not all of our product costs are uniformly added. Labor and overhead for this chapter are always uniform, which is called conversion. But materials is the one that you got to look for. That may not be uniform. In most cases, the materials are added at the beginning of the process. So just be aware of that. Or the author says they may be added at the end of the process. So let's just do an example here. If the author says materials are added at the beginning, and I'm looking at my ending work in process units, what percent complete would they be?
Everybody will be 100%.
100%. If direct material is added at the 50% point and the ending units are 40% done, what percentage would I have for materials?
Zero.
Be 0 for equivalent unit purposes. Remember, I'm at the 40% point. I didn't add my material to the 50%. So I never got there. I never reached that point where I added materials. If I change this percentage from 40 to 60, what would my percentage be for materials?
100%.
100%. This is a non-uniform input. So look for materials. Look how it's added. Is it added at the beginning, at the end, in the middle? And then look at what percent or how far did we get in the process. Should we do beginning units too? Let's try beginning units to finish. Teresa, you look like you're deep in thought here.
I'm just trying to soak it all in.
Production cycle, right?
Yeah.
if I add them at the beginning,
Yeah,
for my
it's
ending
100%,
units, I have all my materials, so that's why it's 100%. Here though, I'm only 40% done with those ending units. Did I reach this
Yeah.
point?
No.
That's why it's 0. When I do hit that point,
That's 100%.
then I got it all added. I'm done.
Yeah, you clarified it better. That's what I was kind of thinking, but you just clarified it.
Okay, let's do the beginning units, because now we got to kind of think backwards. Again, direct material added at the beginning. Beginning whip. The author says they're 40% done for labor and overhead. What amount do I need to finish? What amount of effort to finish beginning whip do I need? So I'm in that step 2 section. What percent do I put here?
60%.
Careful. Careful. Not 100 either. It's, if I've added the material at the beginning, it's already been done last month, has to be what percent here then?
100%.
No,
Oh, 0.
0 to finish them. Right? Beginning units, they're started.
Yeah.
They were started last month. Do I need any more material to add them, to finish them? Nope, because the material was added at the start of the process. This is the one that'll get you.
Yeah. I can see that.
Okay, now, beginning units, 40% done. Direct materials added at the 50% point, right? Same scenario, but beginning units. How much effort do I need to finish those materials?
100%.
Now it's 100% for materials. Last month I didn't get there, right?
Yeah.
This month I did. Got to the 50% point, 100%. So change the scenario to beginning units were 60% done. To finish them, how much effort?
Be 0.
Would be 0. Very good, Tom. Excellent. To finish them, they got that done last month already. These are all non-uniform examples. Now, if it says uniform material, you just follow the percentage. If it says uniform materials are uniformly added, then you don't do any of this. You just follow the percentage, right? Okay. Take a look at that. We can certainly review that again on Wednesday. We got one more day on Wednesday. So, let's do our last problem for today. $58. And I'll apologize right up front that these numbers are kind of big, but we'll do our best. What method are we doing here?
Weighted average.
Weighted average. Problem 58.
I'm on page.
I've already added the headings just to save some time. This is a good problem for us too because it has, um, is this non-uniform or uniform? This is a non-uniform problem. The inputs are not uniformly added. If you look at the last sentence on page 322, how is material added? Or when is material added? Beginning. If you see that on any of your test questions, automatically it's going to be non-uniform at that point. Non-uniform. Material is added at the beginning of the process. That then means it's non-uniform. So what are my two material components here in step 2? One's cabinets, one's components, right? So what percents for my ending units should those be then? Ending units are 20% done. So I'm right here, guys. What percent, Tom?
100%.
100%. Correct. If I add that material at the beginning, even though they're 20% done for labor and conversion, I've met that, they're that far down the line, so they must have material, all of my components added at the beginning. So the only 20% is on conversion. That look right? Does everybody see where I'm getting the 20% from? Why did I not use the 60%? What units are those? Those are beginning units, right? Do I deal with beginning units at all on this weighted average report? The answer is no. They're mixed together, right? So that's the ease of the weighted average method. So let's put our units in. Starting in step 1, we have 60,000. For beginning units, we have 150 for completed. Ending is at 30. Total 180, which matches this number. So how many units did I start? The 120. Of the 120, basically I have 30 that we didn't finish, right? 90 plus the 60 were transferred out. So my percents for completed is always 100. Go ahead, finish out step 2. These costs are over. I'm not going to put dollar signs on them like I'd like to because the numbers are so large. So I'm just going to go with my beginning cost. I'll put the dollar sign here. They came out nice as far as rounding is concerned. They all came out. So $320 for our total. Remember, we add up the 320 plus 210 plus 90 gives us the 320. Any questions on where we got the 20, the 210, the 90? Is everybody comfortable with that? So I'm going to use those to come up with our completed and transferred out cost. In dollars. I'm going to take the 320 times what? many units did I complete?
50,000.
The 150, right? Michelle, you're right. I got 48 million. Guys, just as a reminder, the difference between these two numbers is the ending, right? I've had 55 to start with. I took out 48. That means 7,440,000 should be my ending inventory.
Can you say that one more time? I didn't quite hear.
Rather than do all this work
Yeah?
to get the ending number, I can simply take the difference here between these
Oh,
two,
sure.
right? Just a way to double check yourself. Well, let's verify it. This number should be what? 7,440,000. So I have direct materials for cabinets, 100% complete for ending. So it's 30,000 times 20, right? For the other materials, cabinet or components, 30,000 times 210. And then conversion, 6,000 times 90. And hopefully we come up with 740, 7,440,000. Well, the first one is 600,000. 600,000. The second is 6,300,000 and 540,000. That's it. Right. So we came out perfectly. Transferred out 48 million. To the next department for finished goods. We ended up or reconciled to the same number we had in the beginning. Obviously, these three would be up here, right? Just for time savings. I wanted to show one more thing before I stop for today. I'm going to make this bigger. On the round command, for the mixing department for your project, the cost per equivalent unit, I want it rounded to 2 places. So the formula is round the formula comma to 2 places. And now with my display, I had 4 or 5 digits showing. Now I just have 2. To check if your round command is working, increase the decimal size, you should have zeros behind the placement. So if it's 2, I should have zeros after the 2. Correct? Now Diane was talking about a precision rounding. If I go to File, Options, Advanced,
Way at the bottom.
it's under Display. Under the display, I'm right here. She has been selecting Set Precision as displayed. And it says data will be permanently lose accuracy.
Yeah, and it did say that when I was,
Right away, that scares me.
well, that's why I
Okay.
had to ask about it, but.
Whenever I see a warning
Work.
sign, that's dangerous. But that's okay. So what's happening, guys, is I think, now I'm not 100% certain, that whatever she's showing as a percent, so if she's showing 2 places, it'll round, it'll show, I shouldn't say it round, it will show it as 2 places.
Okay.
So, how can I do this?
Change to 4 decimal or short?
Let's try that. But in this cell, if I make this display only to here, it shows it correctly rounded versus I think it's a display thing only.
Okay.
So if I'm showing this and I'm multiplying these by 10, I don't know. It still shows it. But my fear is not rounding it. If I show this increased, oh, it does round it.
Yeah.
It does round it for you. Even though this cell, you see what happened there, guys?
Yeah, as you increase it, it will increase it as well.
Yep. It changes it as if it were rounded.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it does work, but I would rather see this round in it and not set the precision. Where did you learn how to set precision as of this?
I was hunting for something because I knew it was rounding and I didn't know how to get my rounding to work.
Yeah?
So I was hunting on the internet and I came up.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. Google is amazing, is it not?
Yes.
That's awesome. Good for you. Excellent job. Yes, I was never aware of that, so that's good to know. I learned something today. I can go home now, so I'm very excited. So that set precision will work in this case, but I would still prefer you to get in the habit of adding the round command. Because then I can set it and still display a different way if I wanted to. I know it's rounded to 2 places or 3 or 4. So, cool. Awesome. That is cool. So that's that scenario for those that wish to use it. Again, it's under File, Options, Advanced. This Advanced has a lot in it. I use it quite often so I can get rid of my zeros.
Yeah, remove 0.
Yeah, we did that quite a bit in Ledger.
Yep.
It's under Display Options. Why do I not see it?
Because you're trying to look for it, you know?
Right here. Right here. It's under Display Options for Worksheet.
Yep.
But Diane was down on the bottom here. Set precision right here as displayed. Cool. Good way around it. All right, for the rest of the class then, is yours to work on your assignments. If your partner is here, you can work with them. Make sure you can wrap that up for Wednesday. For those at home, did you have any other questions? Oh, Austin already left. Catherine? Oh, he left already. Catherine, I'm assuming you're okay. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you, Catherine.